Welcome back to Season 2 of the Grier Podcast. Each episode, we will talk about a new topic about life at Grier School. This episode, we will talk about riding at Grier. Hi, I'm Maya. I'm a junior, and I am not a rider.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I'm a junior, and I'm a rider.
Hi, I'm Logan. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a rider.
So, how long have you guys been riding? What kind of riding do you do?
I've been riding personally for 8 years, and I do the Junior Hunters, which is a hunter-based format.
Yeah, I've been riding competitively for the last 3 years, and I do the Hunters and the Equitation, and then I also do the Ranch Riding and Reining for the Western.
So, how do you guys prepare for IEA shows?
For IEA shows, it's quite different than regular shows, rated shows. For IEA shows, we're at home and we can really expand on preparing and stuff. So we usually prepare on Friday. We have an IEA lesson. We basically ride different horses than we usually do. I own a personal horse, and then so basically I ride a Grier horse to prepare, and we just do normal everything that we're going to do over the weekend show in. And then later that night, we all get together, have a group meeting with our captains, and we go over some expectations that we have, positive about everything, sportsmanship. And then we just go, they drag the ring, and then we set up the jumps together. It's really a team effort, and it's just coming together all as one, getting ready for this big weekend. And we just set up jumps, clean, make sure the horses are all clean, and yeah.
Yeah. That's basically, she summed it all up. We just make sure all the horses have all the tack they need, make sure everything is labeled. We make sure we have a list, we email out a list for the weekend of who's holding what horses, who's lunging what horses, who's feeding what barns, and just that way everything's nice and organized. And we'll just, make sure the barn looks presentable and clean, so other teams that are coming in will, see how lovely our barn is. So
yeah, and also to add on that, it's also wonderful to have this experience as a team, because growing up in such a solo-based sport where it's just you and your horse, and you are that team, to have the girls surrounded by you to make up the community that you're kind of lacking in this sport. Just people to support you, just talk about your ride. And before coming to Grier, I didn't have that. You have a barn, but it's not the same. Coming here, it's a whole team. That's your team, and you support them, and it's just nice to have that and to have that community.
Yeah, it's like a family here. We always joke that we're sisters, but it's really like a family, because if you have a really bad ride, you can go and talk to somebody about it, and they'll know exactly how you feel, because we've all had those exact same rides. And if you've had a really good ride, you can, be happy about it and not feel like you're being too happy about it, because everybody wants everyone to do really well.
Mm-hmm.
As a captain, Logan, how do you feel like you prepare differently?
It's a little bit more just because you have to make sure, you have to send out the email, which is a whole job in itself, because you have to make sure you have all the horses down, make sure all the girls are doing something, make sure all the horses have name tags for their saddle pads, and just make sure everybody's organized, and making sure everybody's doing something to help prepare. That way we're not running around, and we're all doing stuff that we need to do to prepare.
How do you guys feel like the team works together throughout the weekend?
The team works together throughout the weekend in so many ways. I think one of the ways that personally for me I feel the most help is when I'm going into the ring and someone notices that's standing nearby that my boots just need a little bit more polish, and they just clean it all up, and that's just so helpful to me, because I'm running around helping also and holding horses and just getting dirty. So just to have that helpful hand just to clean my polish and just to talk about my course. And then also when we're feeding, just people helping us just.
Yeah. So I know that before I was a captain and before I had to do all of the captain duties or whatever, I know it was really helpful, because I would get really stressed out before I showed, that girls would just come up and be like, hey, you're doing great, like you look good, like your outfit looks fine, like you look great. And when you're like going over your course, it's always helpful to just be like, okay, so I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go jump this. And it just to like have somebody there is just like really supporting and like helpful.
So we had a show this past weekend. It was a dressage show. If you want to go watch that, there was a live stream all day. How do you guys feel like the team did overall?
I think the team did amazing. I mean, those dressage girls work so incredibly hard. Dressage is very much more difficult and a lot different than the hunters, and I just am really proud of them. They had like a clean sweep. Everybody did amazing. Like everybody that I talked to said they had amazing rides, said the weekend was just overall like really great, and I'm just really proud of them because they worked really hard.
I'm super proud as well. I'm really happy that they, went into this weekend with an open mind, because I know this past weekend has been freezing cold. I mean, it was really cold here, and I know that they just went into it just ready, and they dominated, I know. I think our high school team got champion, and then our middle school team did as well, so that's awesome, and bringing home the points, and hopefully nationals will go amazingly for them, and I know how difficult it is, and I'm just really proud of everyone that succeeded this weekend and did their best.
And we have another horse show this weekend. How do you guys feel about doing it all over again this weekend, and how do you guys handle like consistently having horse shows like almost every weekend?
It's definitely a little hard just because, it's taking that toll on you, waking up early every weekend and, pulling 16-hour work days. But, that's why we came here. Like, we love the sport. We love the horses. Like, even though it takes all day and it's tiring, like, everybody still works really hard and loves it. But I know I'm really excited for this weekend because it'll be warmer than it was this past weekend. But but everybody is going to do really great. I've been watching a handful of people ride, and they look amazing. So I'm really excited.
I'm excited too, not only for the early hours that might seem dreadful going into it, but after you finish and you lay down in your bed, you just know that you succeeded in this day, that you had so much work, but it had a great outcome. You did something with your team and made a difference. And one of the big things also I look forward to is when I get to hang out with my friends all day, even though I'm working holding a horse, but I'm also having fun with it. It's just how you make it fun. It's of course already fun, but just adding that extra layer and just making jokes with your friends and always just talking to them. I just personally enjoy it for that aspect. I'm just always around them and making jokes. And the food also is always good. I always love a mac and cheese, pulled pork. That is my go-to food. And it's just kind of nice to see your friends in a different environment and just like hang out. And also girls from other teams, from other IA teams, you wave at them. I kind of recognize them by now and I chit-chat with them. It's just nice to see everyone and, I don't know, just have fun.
You guys, over winter break, went to WEC Ocala, and I'm pretty sure you guys are leaving here soon again for WEC Ohio,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How did you guys prepare for WEC Ocala specifically? How was it different from leaving normally, like from school and everybody being here versus it being on break?
That's a great question. So for us, I know for Logan and I, we left from our hometowns. So I took a flight from Pennsylvania and had a layover in Georgia, Atlanta, right? We have a funny story with this. So this is kind of off topic, but I was in the airport at my gate and I look up. I was Snapchatting Logan and I just see her snap me a location of my gate, and then I look up and I see the back head of Logan, my best friend, and I call her name and she turns around and we're on the same connecting flight to Florida.
Yeah, it was really funny. We had no clue that we were gonna meet. We just thought we would meet in Gainesville, but
it was kind of like a fun, silly moment. But back onto topic. Preparing was quite difficult because usually, you get to leave with the horses, travel with the horses, which is quite nice because I pack all of my things. I'm very organized. This time I had to be extra organized, pack everything up in a tack box for my trainers to put onto the trailer going to Florida. And I had to just subconsciously know what to pack because since we're going away for so long and, it's going to be in like 3 weeks when I was going to get to Florida, so I just had to make sure in my mind I had everything. And it was quite stressful, but knowing I had a list and everything out organized, that was definitely helpful.
Yeah, I know because I left a little bit later than Natalie did. I had a tiny bit more time to get my stuff together, and we took our tack trunks with us this time. So if we shared a horse or 2 people shared a trunk, we got to take a big trunk, and then one person would take a smaller trunk. So since I was sharing my horse, I got to take the bigger trunk, which was nice because me and the girl I shared with, had a lot of stuff. So we took all of our hoof pack, our poultice, all of our horse care stuff in the trunks, and our show gear, and just stuff like that. And then we took all of our personal things, like our show clothes, our breeches, our schooling breeches, all that stuff with us, in our suitcases and carry-ons.
You definitely should have seen my bag. It was completely full to the rim. I was going to originally pack 1 suitcase for, the 2 weeks we were there, and then that was also going to last me my time at Grier because from Florida we went back to school. So I was like, this should be good. Ended up taking 3 checked bags and a huge carry-on and a carry-on suitcase, so definitely underestimated my packing abilities.
What classes did you guys compete in while you were over there, and how did you do?
Personally, I did the first week I was there, I did the 3-foot juniors, and then that went successfully. I got 2nd place in almost every round. In the classic, I got a 2nd, and then in the flat, I think I placed 1st, if I remember correctly. And then the 2nd week, I moved up to the 3-3 juniors with my horse Aiden, and we successfully had really good rounds. It was kind of a break. It was kind of like a moment of relief with my horse because just knowing that I did the 3-3 successfully and everything went so smoothly, it was just a personal win. Even if I didn't bring back ribbons to show first place, that round meant more than any ribbon could, if that makes sense. It was such a personal win. I figured out so many things, and I'm so happy that it went so well.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to watch her, and it was really cool just to see the growth with her and her horse. But while I was down there, I did the low children's, which is the 2-6. I did the My Hunter division the first week, which I didn't get anything in, but I had some really good rounds where I learned a lot, which means more to me personally. And then the 2nd week, I did the low children's equitation, where I did pretty good. I got 5th and 8th in my over fences, and then 4th in my under saddle, which was really nice because it was out of a very competitive group of girls and horses. So,
how did you guys prepare mentally for Wekokala?
How I mentally prepare for riding, I do it in many aspects. I kind of reflect on my last show and think about the things that I needed to improve on and things that I need to take and keep. For me, I had a lot of showing anxiety, but now that I've worked through it, I've had so many different techniques. Definitely getting to the ring early on that day and going over my course and just in my head visualizing what I'm going to be doing, keeping leg, counting to the base, looking straight, and just all these things that you need to have for a successful round. I just remember that and I visualize that, and I just take a moment, watch a couple people, even if it's not the same division, just going into the ring and having successful courses. I take a little aspects and I just sit there and think of what I need to do, and then I take a picture of my course. I walk back to the barn and I just visualize, keep on thinking to myself what I need. And then I always like to get on earlier than I need to and just warm up before my round. and then also sit by the gate and watch a couple girls in my division go. And I think that really helps me because then I get a kind of a lay of the ground. Like if the line is going to be really long, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in, add leg, and see where I'm at. So I think that definitely helps me. And also just taking a moment. I know that it's really stressful to go in the ring. You know, you have a lot of things on your mind. But taking a moment and, like, being so thankful and, you know, no matter what happens, you're there with your horse and you're succeeding. You're just being there. So I really take that into consideration.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I just get there and I make sure I know my course. I go over it. When I'm going there to warm up, like right before my class, I like to watch a handful of people go. When I watch those people, I'm like, okay, that horse has a little bit of a bigger stride than my horse, so I'll probably do this. Or that horse is a little more quicker paced and easier to get off your leg than my horse is, or seems to be. So I'll just take that into consideration. I visualize my course and like, okay, I'll get a 6 in this line, and then I'll have to make sure I land and add leg at the end of the jump, and you know, make sure I woe in my corners and push them past the gate and have a nice pretty closing circle and just have like a very detailed thought out plan.
How would you guys say that your overall WEC experience was?
Overall, amazing, but cold. For me, I was expecting, you know, to tan, short sleeve weather, you know, and then I got there, it was warm, and then the second week I was like, okay, it's kind of cold, like sweatshirt, jacket, you know, but other than that, it was amazing.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I learned a lot. I feel like whenever we go to shows, but especially WEC Ocala in general, I feel like everybody learns so much because you're there for a longer period of time than we are for a lot of other shows. And I feel like everything is so heightened there that your brain like absorbs information at such like a fast rate that like you learn so incredibly much. But I loved it. We made a lot of memories, a lot of laughs, and a lot of things. So I really enjoyed it.
Definitely a lot of laughs. I'm going to make this. So when we turned out our horses, we were thankful enough to get a paddock pen. So we turned them out for 2 hours, you know. And during this, my dear friend Logan drops her phone when she was making a TikTok down the fence post that's basically hollow. And oh, silly Logan.
Not only was it just a fence post, it was a fence post that was dug underground at least a foot. So it was 6 feet underground. So.
And then when I got that call, I scooted on out. It was like a mile away from the barn. So I was walking up, and you could just hear the TikTok that she was recording playing over and over and over again. And when you looked down, you couldn't even see it. It was so gone. So
gone.
We had dinner at 6, so we just spent our time trying to get it with sticks digging. It was too far gone.
Yeah. Thankfully, we got one of those trash grabbers that you get, and we got that with some alien tape and Marion's freakishly long arm, and thankfully she was able to get it. So,
Queen.
So lots of memories were made.
Yes.
Were you guys like excited to come back to campus where was very snowy at the time, or would you guys have liked to stay in the warmer weather?
Honestly, when I got off the plane, stepped out, was like, this feels the same.
Yeah.
It felt the same, but I was excited to see my friends. I was really excited to be back, like, just in my bed. I actually sleep a lot better at Grier than in my own bed. It's way comfier, so I was excited to get back to that bed and to be back into my routine of just school with friends and riding. And I was kind of excited just to be back.
Yeah.
For that aspect. But definitely not the cold.
No.
Definitely not.
We were not prepped for the cold.
No.
It was chilly in Florida, but when we got off, you know, it was like not that bad.
We were like, snowing. I'm
yeah.
sure, yeah.
But we were like, wow, it's really not that bad. Like, there's not that much of a difference. Like, we still had our jackets and stuff. Like, we were good. Next day rolls around. We are freezing.
It was really cold.
Yeah.
This past week was bad.
Yeah.
It was really cold.
Negatives.
It's bad when you know I ordered a heated vest off of Amazon.
Yeah.
kind of moving away from WEC, how do you guys balance school and riding?
It's, school and riding are very important to me. I mean, riding is like my number one thing. I love riding more than like anything, but school has to come first. So you have to prioritize school. So you have to get your homework done, and if you're leaving for a horse show and you know you'll have a lot of schoolwork, you gotta do it on the way there or at the hotel room late at night, even if you don't want to. You just gotta like manage your time really well. But I know here we're really thankful to have an academic advisor that comes with us to a lot of horse shows. Her name's Miss Fraser. She's coming with us to WEC, Ohio, and she unfortunately couldn't come with us to WEC, Ocala, but thankfully since it was over break, a lot of us didn't have homework. So
For me personally, coming in as freshman year, I was like, not going to be bad. The biggest thing it taught me was responsibility. Your teachers, if you don't turn in that assignment, they're going to give you leeway. But as you get older, you have to have that responsibility to email them, to reach out, to ask for that paper early so you can complete it. Thankfully, my teachers are all so understanding of my schedule, and they give me the packets before, and I just complete them. And thankfully, Miss Fraser this year, she's been like a godsend. She sits with me at shows before I start my day or after I start my day, even though it's late at night. She's always so eager to help us, which is such a helpful tool. I didn't really think about it, but she is there just to help you with anything you need, from math to English to, all in between. And it's just such a nice time where I can sit down and work with her and work all of my homework. So it's really nice.
And you leave for some decent amount of time,
Yes.
so I'm sure that's not an easy thing to keep up with everything, but that's
Right.
one thing that teachers at Grier are all very understanding of each person's individual schedule and situation, and they're all very willing to give you extensions, but you definitely do have to at least
Right.
email and be like, okay,
Right.
well, this is happening, and I wanted to let you know that this is going to be late.
Right.
yeah.
My favorite thing is just like a week before. We're leaving on Wednesday for WEC, Ohio, this next Wednesday. So right now, I'm telling my teachers and I'm letting them know so in advance they can get everything they need to me and make sure it's printed out. And then I just go to them for extra help, which is really nice. And I ask them questions, I go over everything, and I just get everything settled. And I love to have my planner, huge planner. It's huge. And I write down everything from, all of my assignments to everything that's expected of me. And I do it. And I think it's better to have it all out in front of me. I'm very much a visual person. So if I see it, I'm going to do it. And, and also the workload, when you make time for yourself and do it, it's not as bad. And to be prepared is really helpful.
Yeah.
So
Well, we kind of answered my next question was going to be, how does this change while you're at horse shows? But we talked about that. Okay. Did you guys come to Grier specifically for riding?
for me personally, yes. I was looking for a boarding school that had riding and was one of their main priorities. For me, it was just coming from school, I didn't connect on the level that many girls did. Like if you did softball, you had your friends from softball, you travel together, you eat lunch together, you go to practice. It's kind of a community, and I was lacking that. And coming to Grier, I have that community, and it feels so welcoming. It warms my heart because, girls at school, at my old school, they were my friends, but they didn't understand the level and commitment I had with riding, like, oh, I'm missing the dance to go ride. Oh, why would you do that? They didn't understand that aspect, and to have friends that really understand that, even if they don't ride, everyone here, they know riding comes first in social life. So if I'm going to miss a dance for riding, they really do understand that. And just going to lunch and just talking about my ride and just talking about horses or horse updates, something silly, everyone understands it. So it's so nice to have that community and not to feel like an outsider because you don't have people that understand your sport because you're so committed to it. So
I feel like, I don't feel like I know. A lot of the girls here, if they're not a varsity rider, they do rec. And I mean, there's so many different communities within Grier, but riding is definitely one of the biggest. So, I mean, me personally, as not a rider, I've gotten so used to the riding talk, like at dinner and stuff, and you get used to it. You just, I think I know more about riding than I do basketball at this point.
It's so funny because a lot of my friends will just be at dinner and they have never even touched a horse in their life, and they're like, did you get any rails down in the jumpers? And I'm like, wow, that. Like, they listen, and it's just such a fun community because it's just like, how was ice today? And you've never even touched a horse, but you ask those questions with your other friends, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, like she said, like, people who have never touched a horse before, like, they know the girls' horses' names. Like, they're like, oh, how was Aiden today? How was Ice? How was Delana? How was Luna? Like, they know all the horses, and, like, even the Grier horses, they're like, oh, how was Cappy today?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just really cool because, like, even if you aren't a part of that community necessarily, you're still involved and you still know, and, like, everybody's so completely understanding of the riders. Like, they know that riding comes first, and they know that riding takes all day. It's not just something that you can go and do and then come back. It's an all-day thing.
Right.
You want to make plans with a rider, you got to make sure you know their schedule ahead of time.
Yeah.
I always tell them if they want to come to a show, it's from 9 a.m. to like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
In between, I might show.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I mean, I'm at horse shows all the time for the live streaming purposes, but you do see a lot of girls up there that have nothing to do with riding, but they are just up there. One, maybe it's just because they want to see the horses, or two, they're up there supporting their friends, and I mean, they may not understand what's going on, but they're there and they're trying.
Yeah.
But funnest thing is when I'm on a horse walking out of the ring at a horse show at home for an IEA, and I see my friends up there clapping, so happy, and I'm just like, it makes me so happy because even though they don't understand a thing, they just saw a horse jump over sticks in a sand arena. They just think it's the coolest thing ever, and they're there supporting me, and they don't make fun of it at all, and they're just so, they want to know more, they're intrigued, and that is what makes Grier so much fun. It's because, like, even though you might do the craziest thing, like ride a horse, everyone is just, it's so normalized, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the girls are, like, super, like, supportive. Like, we love to go and see the dance shows, and the dancers will love to come and watch them ride. They're like, wow, you did so good, even though they, like, don't know what's happening. Like, you could have a horrible round, and they'll be like, wow, that's so good. But, like, it's just so nice because, like, everybody's so supportive of everybody. Like, the artists are so supportive of the dancers and the riders. The riders are so supportive of the artists and the dancers. Like, the dancers are so supportive of everybody. Like, everybody's just so, like, happy for everybody.
And definitely after, like, on a Friday when we're setting up for an IA horse show and there's a dance gala going on the same night, everyone's like, okay, guys, let's get together. Let's do this quick so we can all watch our friends dance. And then we go watch them dance, and we're like, wow, we could never do that. Like, I would fall on my face. And then they watch us the next morning at our show, and they're like, wow, we can never do that. We would fall on our face.
So we're very self-aware of what we can and cannot do.
And then also, I find it really funny when I'm just getting off my horse, I see my science teacher in the corner just cheering me on. It's so nice to have teachers that are there always, and
Yeah, and you can, like, I email my teachers, and I'm like, hey, I'm showing in approximately 20 minutes. And they're like, wow, good job, tell Olivia I said good job. And, like, the teachers just are so supportive as well.
Right.
That's it. Like, we have the live stream, so even if, a friend had to go home for a reason, or you're a day student and can't get on campus at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, you can always, like, watch the live stream, and you can always still be there and support your friends.
Right.
So, Logan, did you come to Grier specifically for riding then, too?
Yeah, I had always wanted to go to a boarding school. I had just, like, seen it on TV and thought, oh, that'll be cool. And I was actually looking at a few other boarding schools, but Grier was the first and only one I toured. And when I did tour it, I absolutely fell in love with it. I was actually supposed to come my 9th grade year, but I told my mom, I love it so much. I want to come, like, I want to go now. And I ended up coming my 8th grade year instead of my 9th, so.
So, you both came for specifically riding, but after being here, how do you feel about the academic side of Grier and all that?
I feel like the academics are really nice. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a teacher as much as all of the teachers here are just so like worried about. They're like, hey, what can I do to make sure you're doing good? Like they're so involved and they want each and every one of their students to do well, and you're given so much opportunity to do well here. Like we have extra help, we have tutoring, like we have
Learning skills.
we have learning skills, like we have so many like tools and like things that you can do to like help you if you're not that good of a student. Like it's so easy to do well here. It's honestly really hard to do not well here. So
You have to try.
yeah, you have to really try.
For me personally, I came from a big public school, 20 to 12 in my class, and I was so overwhelmed. I have dyslexia and dyscalculia and ADHD. So for me, it's quite hard to focus with a class of 20 with some of my best friends next to me and to yap all class. But here, you're maybe the biggest class I have is maybe like 6 or 10. Smallest is 3 other girls. So definitely you cannot get by the whole class yapping. So I'm always focused here, and it's just kind of nice to have a teacher that can just come up to me and just help me with extra problems that I need. And to have that one-on-one with teachers, I find so helpful. At my old school, it was quite difficult just to get a moment alone with my teachers. But here we have, extra help, which is really helpful. I go to my teachers. Usually there's no one there, and you just sit down and you work through issues that you need. Maybe you retake a test at that time. It's a designated time where you can go get help. And that is so important because even if I'm going to a show or maybe I just cannot understand this algebra problem, they're there to help me. So it's really nice.
And then, what would you guys tell someone who's considering coming to Grier for riding?
I would definitely recommend it. It's probably the best decision I've ever made. The instructors here are so great. They care so much. Like, Crystal will literally drop everything if you need to talk to her. And that's not just for riding. That's for anything. But the horses here are amazing. They're just athletes of another level. And we're just so lucky to get to ride these amazing animals every day with such amazing instructors and in such amazing arenas. And it's just really amazing, and I love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I would definitely say do it, and I would say do it now because the amazing horses we get donated are insane. If you walk into our barn, to the left you would have this horse, Jasmine, that just did the meter 20s with a Grier Rider Anley and is amazing. And then you also, to the right of you, have a schoolmaster that's going to take you around your cross rails and learn the ropes and, understand riding to a better extent. And there's just so many categories of horses. We have some horses that just do dressage. We have some horses that do dressage, western, and hunt seat. There's so many horses. I think we have about 60 horses. If you don't find a horse here, you're not going to find a horse anywhere because these horses are the best for you. They just fit you what you need. I mean, when I was in between buying a horse and searching for a horse, I rode this horse in Sino, and he taught me the ropes of how to ride a horse. I was on a pony, so it's much different. And he taught me everything. He taught me how to get over the jump and how to successfully go around my first course in the children's. And he was just there to help me and be a stepping stone to my next horse. So I'm very thankful for that. And I would say to them also, you're going to learn so much here. I mean, coming from my freshman year to now, I was doing the 2.6 when I got to Grier, and now I'm doing the 3.3. And to look back on my riding, it's just immense. I mean, I didn't, this is going to sound funny, I didn't know how to steer properly, which is very important in riding. And you have to use leg to hand. And Crystal one day was like, you don't know how to do that, do you? And I was like, no. So we had a lesson, she taught me everything, like just how to properly steer, and that just kept on building. I mean, like, you're not going to find better trainers that are really just there to help you succeed. And I would just say do it. Like, do it.
Well, that is all I had for us. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I'm Maya.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Logan.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grier Podcast. Our podcast is recorded, edited, and written by the students of the Grier School AV Club. The opinions shared in this episode are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the views of the school or any of its staff. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.